Well, hello everybody. This is Greg from Greg's Vintage Workshop. It's been a little while since I've made a video. I went back to work back in February after being retired for a year. Decided it was too expensive to be retired, so got me a position back with my company I worked with before. And anyway, doesn't give me as much time to work on my radios as I used to have. So I've got a few projects that are still ongoing and some new ones I'm getting ready to start. This one here was the last one that I was actually working on besides my friend Charles's reel-to-reel. This is a 54C that I was putting together for my daughter, and it's still in my tool right here for working on it. But since it's family, I know she's willing to wait. I know she's willing to wait because she doesn't even know I'm doing it for her. But anyway, I worked on Charles's reel-to-reel. Unfortunately, it was DOA. I couldn't bring it back. Just wasn't good enough, I guess. Anyway, getting ready to start my next project, which is for another friend of mine, David, in North Carolina. And he had given me this back in March of this year to see if I could get working for him. And it's over here on this bench. As you guys know, I added some things, a couple benches to my shop and such. This is my coil winder. This is actually a cabinet that I have to do. It's what's left to do of an Air King that I did for my nephew, which is still over here. It's all done for my nephew. It's all restored. It's just waiting on the cabinet. And so I was planning on doing the cabinet this summer. And it's been too hot and I've been too busy with work and working on Charles's reel-to-reel. So it's waiting. And I'm still planning on doing that cabinet. So I can get that to him. He's not aware of it either. This was one that was ugly buy I bought on eBay for him. Cabinet needs lots of work. It's got that ugly green paint on it. It's falling apart. I'm going to have to re-glue it. So I have to strip it, re-glue it, and refinish it. And I'm going to strip. I got a keel table for 29 Atwater. I keep saying Atwood. Atwater Kent. I've got two Atwater Kent chassis and speakers here. The one chassis and speaker my friend Monty gave me. The other one I purchased off eBay in a keel table that's in actually really nice shape. I need to refinish the top. That's really the only part I'm going to refinish is the top. But anyway, I digress so easily, and I apologize for that. So that brings me to my next project. Here it is right here. This is a 1941 Farnsworth, made by the Farnsworth Television and Radio Corporation back in 1941. This is a model BC1020, so BC1020. This particular set was David's grandfather's. He said it sat in his grandfather's room that he could remember for many, many years, and then he got it. I have a picture someplace of the cabinet. He said it's. I mean, I've seen the picture of the cabinet. He sent it to me in a messenger form. Beautiful, beautiful old radio. So he said he heard that I was tinkering with this stuff, and he didn't know if I wanted to give it a go. And I said, sure, I'd like to get it going for you. So anyway, I met up with him in March and brought it home and put it on my shelf and told him I'd bring it back to him in like July next time I went to North Carolina. And unfortunately, with work and a couple other projects, I just never really got to it. So I told him I'd bring it back and give it back to him, or if he wanted to leave it with me, I would still work on it, and I would bring it in December. So that's the plan. I'm going to get this finished, and hopefully to him in December. So this video will be documenting my work on this. He said at one time that it did play, but then it had quit. So it could be anything. We'll go through and check the transformer and such. Obviously, if it's a transformer possible issue, or maybe just a bad tube. This particular set has a rectifier tube. Let's see. Let's take a look. I actually have a schematic over here and a chassis layout. It's a 5W4GT rectifier. And it uses 6V6 GT output tubes and a bunch of 6S tubes, a 6SK, a 6SQ, couple of 6XQs, a couple of 6SKs, and looks like a 6SA. And they're all these metal tubes. Other than 6V6s, got the two 6V6s and the rectifier tube. The rest of them are the little metal tubes. I just got it from an app, folks, so excuse me. Anyway, it's pretty clean. I'm going to clean it up, obviously. It has push buttons on it. We'll get all that loosened up and working properly. Clean up the tuning condenser and such, but I'm not going to dig into this one that much. Just enough to replace the caps and verify the resistors and clean. Mainly cleaning. Dial cord still works. So anyway, let me get you up on a tripod and see if I can take a look at the bottom of this thing. Okay, I decided not to turn it all like way completely upside down because I don't have a good support for it at this point. And when I do start working on the bottom, I will go ahead and put in my my chassis holder that I have the 54C in right now. So I figured I'd just turn it up on its end like this, and we'd take a quick look at things underneath. As people have been in there and worked on it, obviously, because I see this red cord. Oh, that must be for the speaker. Okay, that's probably a speaker cord. Which he did send a speaker with it as well as the dial face. But anyway, a quick look at this. It's got some really hard, solid mounts that are going to have to get changed out because those are really hard rubber. I'll see if I can get that. Hopefully I can order those. It's got quite a few caps in it. It looks like one of the electrolytics has been changed at one time in its life. There's the other one. There's another one right there. And a lot of the paper caps. So this radio's actually had quite a bit of work done at some point by somebody, because I can tell that doesn't look original. That one doesn't. Obviously that one doesn't. And but there's a blue wire that's cut. Sorry, I just had you guys all over the place. I was just kind of looking past my camera. Here, this must be probably a speaker plug there. Little dog bone in there. A few resistors. It's got some cloth wire. The original wire is cloth wire. Looks like the non-original wire is rubber. This is the right here is where you got a power cord coming in the case. Looks like whoever worked on this. I see it's a power cord. It's not even a real power cord. Doesn't look like. It's the same cord as whatever that is. Whatever that was powering up. If it's a speaker. But it's like they got speaker wiring. And then they used it for power wiring. That's kind of scary. Anyway, we'll clean this up. There's a little take baby steps on this one. I don't want to get in over my head. I'll take some deoxit on those push switches and clean that up. And we'll check the coils, make sure they're not open. And we'll go from there. But I wanted to give you guys a initial look at it. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just check the power transformer and make sure that it doesn't have any open windings on it, and I'll get set up and we'll do that. Alright folks, I hope you can hear me okay, and I hope it's not bouncing too bad. I got my camera on it's a spring-loaded type tripod, and well, it's not really even a tripod. It's kind of a adjustable arm deal, and I was trying to get it so I could get a good view. This is the 1941 Farnsworth BC1020 that I'm working on for a friend of mine, David. I actually yesterday had done a little bit of check on the power transformer, and I thought it was possibly had a shorted primary on it, because I was only getting 1.3 ohms across the primary, and typically on a power transformer on these radios you're going to see somewhere between 15 to 20 ohms. So I've got my meter all hooked up here. I was going to show you kind of what I have done, and then I'm going to show you what else I had done that leads me to believe the power transformer is okay. So hopefully I don't bounce my camera, bump it, but alright, so that's the power cord, which this is something that somebody has rigged up at some point in time. It's a 3-wire conductor, very tiny cable, certainly not original. They use the same type of a cable inside here for something else. I think it's the phonograph, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so I've got the schematic here, and right here is our line cord. If I've got this in camera, there's our line cord. There's the primary of the power transformer. There's the switch. So in order to check the primary, we should be able to just do it right on the plug with the switch on. Or I can check it in here too, but I think it's easier to just check it at the plug, which is what I did yesterday. So let's just do that. Let's get this set up. I got the meter here so you guys can see what I'm seeing. I'll turn the switch off. So let's see, let me get my negative lead here. You know what, I'm just going to use this because I get a better connection. This other thing's a little loose right here. It goes on the probe. So we will just set this up the best I can here, probably off screen. Alright, so I'm going to hook my negative lead there. And I got my positive lead here. Hopefully you guys are catching this and I'm not completely off screen with everything. So my positive lead. I put the meter on ohms. Okay. And since I've got my negative on here, I should be able to touch the positive. Right now the switch is off, so I don't expect to see anything, which I don't. So now I'll turn the switch on. Well, isn't that interesting? When I tested that, there we are. We're at 15.9 ohms. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. All right. I'm kind of moving my leads and wiring and stuff around here, but it had evened out at the 15 ohms. See if we can do that again. This plug isn't the greatest in the world. Isn't that interesting? Now we're at 1.7, 1.6. So when I checked it yesterday, I was getting 1.3. Now, I was suspecting that the primary was shorted. Now, I can go down here. You guys, you can see this. This is where the line cord's actually coming in. And I can check it here as well. So let's hook up the negative. I'm just going to clamp it right there on that cap. And we will check it right here. And we got 1.7 ohms, 1.8, 2. Now the interesting thing is there's 1.5. So when I checked that yesterday, I was like, well, the primary must be shorted because I should be seeing like 15 ohms on that. So I spoke to my friend Larry over at Back to the Future Radios. Give him a shout out, and I said, hey, typically I would see 15 to 20 ohms on this primary, and I'm only seeing 1.3. I think it's shorted. It's shorted. It's a shorted primary. It wasn't shorted to the frame, but I thought, well, maybe they're shorted together. So he's like, well, just check your, bring it up on the variac, and check your voltages. So that's what I did, and they actually checked pretty good. Now, what you guys just witnessed, I just witnessed at the same time when I checked it just then, when I first hooked it up, I showed 15 point something, which is what I would expect to see. Now that it's been sitting off, I'm back down to the 1.7 that I had before. Now, the only thing different is I had brought it up very slowly. Obviously, not a smart thing to do with all the old caps, but I do have the rectifier tube out, which the schematic's calling for a 5W. Let's see, where you at? Where you at? A 5W4C, and what's actually in it? It looks like a 5U4 GB. Now I'll double check and see if those convert. But anyway, I've got it out. So I'm checking my voltages right at that tube socket. So we'll do that again since I've got you on camera. I'm going to plug this into my variac and my volt amp meter so I can watch the volts as I crank it up. And we'll see what's going on. So right now I'm putting it on AC volt scale, and now I'm still hooked up to my negative. And let's see, let me think about this for a second. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna flip my variac on, and I'm gonna see if we can get it up to. All right, so there's 8 volts. Watching my milliamps, and we're not doing too much. I'm going to take it on up to 50. And I think I might have bumped my camera. I apologize. So there's 50 volts AC. Maybe pulling 1/10 of a, if that. No, we're not even pulling that. All right. So we check. I say we're at 50 volts AC here. If I go to my secondary winding and I check, I've got 106 volts on that one and 117 on that one. So the primary appears to be working. Now let's go ahead and crank up the variac a little more. Take it up to about 75 volts. There's 75. And let's see what the secondaries are doing now. 159 volts on that one. And 178 on that one. And we got, if they're showing up, I got bulbage on the top. Now, angle's not good enough for you to see that, but the indicator bulbs are lit. Go ahead and take it up to 100 volts. All right, there's 100 volts. Indicator bulbs are looking good, nice and bright. And we have got 210 volts on that one and 238 volts on that one. So it appears that the power transformer is fine because the primary is working and the secondaries are working. So that's good. Now I'm going to shut it off again. All right. So now I'm going to kill my variac, shut it off, and turn down the volts on it. All right. And go back to the ohm scale. Now I realize those caps are probably going to still have some voltage in them. But I'm going to go ahead and check this anyway, just to see what happens. The primary. Turn our key on. Turn the key on. Turn the switch on. And now we're back to 1.3 ohms. 1.2 ohms. 1.4 ohms. 0.3. So, interestingly enough, you guys saw it live just like I did. It was showing like 15 something when it stabilized. I don't know, kind of interesting. But at this point, I'm going to assume, and I know what happens when I assume, that the power transformer is okay. So with that, I guess I need to start cleaning this thing up and change out the electrolytics for certain, and the paper caps as well. So I will do that and bring you guys back on board here once I get something more for you to look at. But I do want to show you that. Thanks for watching.